I'm Mike Darda.
And I'm Andrew Darda. And together, we're the founding agents for the Compass Real Estate Office in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and the Beaches.
With over 31 years experience selling real estate right here in Southwest Florida, we've had the privilege of helping over 4,000 families buy or sell their slice of sunshine. All right, here we are. It is March. We already got 2 months of the year behind us. It's been an interesting start to the year, but what I'm loving right now is the buyers are back in town, aren't they?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're seeing showings up, we're seeing the pendings up, offers coming in. It's a good time to be a real estate agent.
Yeah, it seems like I kind of got off to a sleepy start, but if I look at last year, March and April had an 18% bump over the following months of May and June. So it is definitely go time whether you're a buyer or a seller right now.
Oh yeah, this is season. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been hoping to get out of the season. What do you think is causing the pickup?
From what I heard, it still gets cold up north. It sounds like it's been a brutal winter. That's what I'm hearing from folks. Everyone loves to tell me how the cold it is or how many feet of snow they have when I talk to them right now. So, if there's a point in life where a slice of sunshine to escape the winters makes a lot of sense. And it does make sense to buy right now if you're a sober buyer, because we've got prices are competitive right now, great selection, sellers are negotiable. But one thing, I hear a lot of people ask me is how important is season? And I guess the answer of that depends on what kind of property you're selling.
Yeah, I think if you're a condo owner, season is everything. This is condo season. If you're a luxury homeowner, this is going to be your time to shine. We see more buyers come into the marketplace during the season, which tends to appeal to the more affluent crowd, the higher end properties. So luxury homes right now are doing very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so luxury, but if you're like a regular homeowner, you can probably sell any time of year. There's always buyers like in that 500 and under category, for example, that appeals to locals as well as out of town buyers. So
I think your odds improve, but you're not going to necessarily need the season to sell your home.
Makes sense. Some interesting stats coming out this month. We had shown that in Lee County, Florida, in the month of February, inventory was up 30% year over year, and closed sales was actually down 20%, hence that sleepy start I was talking about. I couldn't believe the statistics showed there was 9,868 price reductions in Lee County during the month of February. Wow. What is up with these price reductions? That's over 350 a day.
Yeah, when you average them out, that's insane to think about. But, I think what we're seeing right now is sellers reacting to the sharp increase of inventory. We're seeing sellers signal to the buying public, hey, I really do want to sell my home. I'm a motivated seller. So the way they create some difference between them and the less motivated competition is they signal to the buyers, I want to sell. Here's my price reduction. And I think this season, more than any, there's a lot of sellers who don't want to hang on to the home. They don't want to miss the season. So they know this is the time to shine. They're going to do everything they can to make their home one of the ones the buyers consider.
Well, if you look at it, there's like 7,800 and some odd homes for sale in Lee County. So there's actually more price reductions during the month of February than there were even houses on the market. So I know sellers are reacting kind of one of three ways to this. You got the serious seller; they want to sell no matter what's going on. So they're reducing maybe sometimes every 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you've got the indifferent seller that's just like, hey, look, here's my price, take it or leave it. If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. They're fine either way. And then I have other sellers that are just like, hey, if that's the case, tap me out. I'm going to just sit on the sidelines, wait for however long it takes for this market to be better.
And I think there's no wrong answer here. It's just whatever your motivation is, whatever your reason to sell your home or condo, that's going to dictate what you do in this market environment. If you have to go and you have a deadline, or you really don't want to ride out another hurricane season, you don't want to go through another summer, you don't want to miss the season, you're going to have to do something with your price.
Yeah, and that makes sense, because if you are if you don't sell, like if you're say one of those luxury or condo sellers, and you are looking at another summer of carrying, there's costs involved in that, right? Insurance, maybe mortgage payments if you've got a mortgage, maintenance fees if you're a condo. So they might look at that and say, you know what, maybe I should just get more competitive now, so I don't have to carry it through another summer. But let's say you are one of those motivated sellers. How do you know how much to adjust your price and when to do it?
Well, I think this is where you do your homework, or you lean on a really good realtor to help you and guide you to what is a meaningful adjustment in price, when to do it, how frequently, and by how much. And so we watch the stats. Like you said, exactly how many homes are on the market, how many homes are reduced. So based on that, how often to advise a customer, okay, now it's time. I think it's going to be time in a couple of weeks, or based on the showing activity, we've got to do this and we've got to do it then. For a lot of our customers, what we're coaching them is, if you're a motivated seller and you're not adjusting and everybody else is, at some point the market's going to leave you behind. So you do have to do a number of them to keep up. And if you look at the stats, the average adjustment in the marketplace right now is a little over 4%. So if you're not making an adjustment that's at least 4%, you're basically on par. You're just matching what already happened a month ago.
Okay, so that explains why sellers that make a 5% adjustment, they'll see an increase in activity, but not necessarily a guaranteed sale. Where you see sellers sometimes making like a 10% adjustment, they're a lot of times I notice those sellers go under contract in a matter of weeks sometimes.
It's one of those things where the size and the frequency of the price reduction does help, and it does increase your odds.
What about the number of showings? I know one of the old rules of thumb was if you're getting showings, no offers, that's a 5% adjustment. If you're getting no showings, maybe a 10% adjustment. But what looks like a normal number of showings that a seller can expect in today's market?
It's funny how that's kind of the old rule in real estate, but how well that fits into what's statistically happening in the marketplace. But, I think, and what I coach a lot of my sellers is, if you're getting at least 2 showings a week or better, you're on the right track. You could almost say maybe it's a matter of time before we get our offer. If you're getting 1 showing a week, you're kind of barely hanging on. You're not getting a showing every week. That's the market telling you you're getting passed up. They're looking at you on the internet and they're saying it's a pretty house, but it's not making the round. It's not making the first cut.
It kind of reminds me of another axiom in real estate, the rule of 10, right? If you had 10 showings and no offer, then you may want to take a look at that. So if we are a seller, and let's say a seller's looking at their Zillow, and they see they got 255 views, maybe they got a dozen or a couple dozen saves, but they're still not getting showings. What does that mean?
This is just, I'd be interested to hear what Zillow says about that. But my thought on that is just what I said before. You're getting passed up. They're looking at you online. You're getting into the filters, either on purpose because your realtor is doing something to advertise your home correctly, get it more exposure, or it really is an attractive home. Buyers are finding it online, but they're stopping there. They're stopping short of looking at it in person. And that could be because they're not here. We're in Florida. The buyer could be in Minnesota looking on their phone. They can't look at it. That's understandable. But there has to be a number of buyers looking at it. If you're getting those kind of views that could see it, but they're choosing not to. And generally that's going to be because of price. They're saying, I like the house, but I've already got 10 picked out. This is the first one I can just take off the list. And they might circle back. If they look at the 10 houses, they don't like any of them. You might make the next cut. But chances are, if they look at 10 houses, if you look at 10 of anything, you're going to like one of them, right? So you don't make it to the next round.
So you're actually having a showing. It's just online, digitally, not in person, right? And they're making the decision not to go see it in person. That might be an indication of either price. They're finding other homes that are a better value that they want to see, or it could be that for that price, they're seeing nicer homes, right? For a similar price, they're bigger, newer. Maybe they got some amenities. and they're looking at that. So
Location, it could be a feature you don't have. Are you on well and septic? Are they on city water and sewer? Are you not in a gated neighborhood? Is your competition in gated neighborhoods with more amenities? You might be really good for the price, but you might find that buyers can find new construction homes for very similar price or just a little bit more than what you're asking. And so it's not just one thing. There's a lot of factors. And I think that's where you have to really do your own homework, be a consumer on Zillow. Look and see what your buyers are seeing and lean on your realtor. Is this true? What do you think about this?
So it could be even like condition, right? They're looking at the pictures and saying, oh, that house is dated or something. So what are buyers looking for? What does make buyers say, hey, I want to go see that house?
I think, they're going to be price conscious. When you've got 9,000 reductions in a month, buyers are aware of that. They're saying that. But buyers right now, I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. What's your motivation? What do you want? I think every retail seller says, oh, we're losing them out to new construction. No, there's a group of buyers that want new and they don't want anything else. There's a lot of buyers that will consider either, as long as the price is right or the home has been updated, they'll consider a resale home over a new home. The location's good, the lot's great. If they're a boater, is it on a great canal? All these things come into play. So buyers right now are sifting through a lot of inventory, but when you filter out what you really want, they've got 10 or 20 houses. I don't think they're looking at the market and saying, I've got 3,000 homes for you to look at. They're looking at 20 homes that meet their criteria.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so they're looking for ones that are a good value, that are updated. I hear that newer homes certainly get a nod. If they're not like in a flood zone, for example, that's a good plus. Or if it is, because it's on water, at least having consumable flood. Updated kitchens, bathrooms, roofs are a big deal now. Something less than 15 years old, preferably newer than that, are all things I'm hearing that buyers like. What are turnoffs for buyers right now? What are making buyers say, no, this is not the house for me?
I do it again. Money. If you're overpriced, that's going to take you right out of the race. If you are dated and not priced appropriately for the datedness, that's going to take you out too. If you are priced right, you are updated, but you leave your home a mess or you continually reschedule or cancel showings, you're going to have a harder time selling. You're going to run out of buyers. If you think about it, you're going to have so many buyers out there in the marketplace. They're all going to say, I want to go see this home. You're going to reschedule, cancel, and move them around, or they're going to show up and the home's dirty, not show ready, and they're going to say, not for them, move on to another house, and eventually you're going to run out. So I think at this point, you need, as a seller, to have the right price. You need to have the right condition or be priced in accordance to your condition. And when it's time for a showing, that's showtime. You got to, we all remember back in the day when you kind of vacuum yourself out of the house. We're back to those days. You're going to be compared to 10 other homes. As a resale seller, you're probably going to get compared to new construction. Or a second home market, you're going to get compared to a home where somebody only lives in the house like 1 or 3 months out of the year. And then they're going to compare that experience to your home where you live in the home year round. Maybe you've got kids, maybe you have pets. All that thing, you're getting compared. So anything you can do to level the playing field, do it.
Right. So a little effort going into condition, staging, making sure the house shows well.
If you're going to request and make the showing work, even if it's inconvenient, look, I get it, but try to make it work.
And I know things that turn offs for buyers right away: dated kitchen and bathrooms, mixed media flooring, where you got different flooring in different rooms, always seems to be a turn off. I noticed that. Getting back to that, if it is in a flood zone, that's always something that buyers consider because the insurance could cost more. So any kind of work that they can do, they just got so many others they can choose from, right?
Yeah.
So they have this. They're in this place they can be a little picky, and they are, because I noticed the home inspections, they get pretty picky sometimes, don't they? Like the fallout rate. Some of our agents around the country that we know and network with are telling us it's the highest they've seen in 12 years. I'm hearing crazy numbers like 20%, 25% of the were deals that are put together with a buyer that the buyer backs out during the inspection.
I was going to say,
What's
you
causing
and I
that?
know what fallout is, but for the people watching the video, what is fallout?
Yeah, so fallout is when you get under contract with a buyer, but that buyer backs out of the deal.
Yeah. So,
So why do they do that?
so in a nutshell, a quarter of the properties that do wind up selling, as difficult as it is to sell, a quarter of those still wind up going back on the market. And I think that is because of choices. Buyers have, a lot of this comes down to supply and demand and inventory. And so buyers are choices. Whenever they have choices, they're going to get picky. They're going to have certain demands, expectations for the home that they're buying. That's going to relate to what they negotiate terms-wise, price-wise, but also as they get through the home inspection, they're going to be watching to make sure the home appraises. They're going to be making sure that there's not a lot of big issues or deficiencies with the home. And if there are, they're going to either cancel or ask for those things to be repaired. So sellers right now, unfortunately, are not in the driver's seat with a lot of these. And so I think that takes a patient seller, a seller who's open-minded, understands what the market's like, and working with a realtor who can help navigate through some of that, because there's a lot of agents who will just kind of present the data and, well, this is it. What do you want to do? And then there's other realtors who can really go back to their client, whether it's the buyer or the seller. And I think for a buyer, tell them, hey, that's cosmetic. That's a real issue. Let's ask them to fix this. That's just going to be home ownership once you buy the house. But as a selling agent, that's also going to mean coaching your client and advising them on the right way to navigate so that they don't lose the deal, but they don't also lose money.
And what I'm actually seeing is sometimes the buyer, it's not about losing the deal. They have their number 2 choice, number 3 choice. They're actually still shopping during the home inspection period. So one thing we've been successful in doing is getting our company's fallout rate down 13%, which is way below the average nationally. So we kind of learned there was some red flags, some warning signs, right, for sellers. Like, for example, sight unseen. If the buyer hasn't seen the house, there's a good chance when they do, they might not like it and back out. Or buyers, if you find out that the buyer has made offers on multiple homes, they're not buying multiple. They're going to back out of some of those deals or all of them except one. We also noticed that if it's subject to anything except for, of course, financing with a letter of pre-qualification. If it's cash, you even want a proof of funds letter. But if it's subject to anything besides an inspection or financing, that is a big red flag you really want to investigate. And another thing we noticed, the long inspection periods don't bode well, because that's just more opportunity for them to find something like better and move towards that and back out of the deal.
And I think that's more of it. It has nothing to do at that point about the inspection itself. It's the inspection period of time. So right now our contracts default to 15 days. But what we really try to do in our negotiations is limit that to 7 days or 10 days at max, because that's less time. That's 5 extra days or 7 extra days we gain under contract, where the buyer can't back out, where the buyer isn't out there looking for other homes, or getting alerts on their phone. Hey, this one you looked at just reduced. They're always shopping.
Yeah, so they're looking always. So that's anything you can do to minimize that time that they have to back out and focus on closing this deal is better. What about sellers? Sometimes they'll ask me, hey, is this a good time to sell? Every seller seems to ask us that. So what do you think? Is it a good time to sell now, or should sellers wait?
Well, yes and yes. Wait if you want to wait, but I think right now the best time to sell is when it's best for you. The right time to sell is when it's right for you and your situation, your motivation to sell. But there is good and bad times in the market, right? Especially if you are, like we talked about, one of those seasonal homes or condos or a luxury home. This is your time. I wouldn't be waiting. You've already missed the first half of the season. Luckily, the second half of the season tends to be better than the first half, but do something now.
Right, because there's no guarantee the price will be any higher, next year, or it could be even lower. Nobody knows. So what I ask sellers is, what's the market doing where you're going, right? If the money from this house is going to buy a home in a hot market where there's bidding wars and prices are actually going up, not down, that gap is getting bigger between what their home's worth here versus where they're going. So it might make sense. Hey, I don't like the price, but I'd rather get my money out of a depreciating asset and put it in an appreciating one. I also sometimes have had sellers say, well, look, we're going into a soft market, like maybe they're moving local. It's kind of the same market, right? So then what does it matter, right? You're just kind of swapping nickels. You buy this house, you sell your house for less, and you buy that house for less. And it really just becomes a game of, where do you want to ride this market out? Do you want to ride it out in the home you're in now? Or would you rather ride it out to where you're moving, wherever that reason is for you moving, being near the grandkids, or being in a place where you can have a boat where you can't have a boat where you're at now, or whatever the reason is, right?
Well, I think there's a lot of people who are money motivated. So, it's profit loss. It's riding this market down or up, that market up or down. But there's also people who are moving for family, getting closer to kids, getting closer to aging parents, grandkids, just a different scenery. I mean, moving from here to Tennessee, or here to the mountains, or here back home. There's that part of it too. Where do you want to be? And, if you're going to ride a market up, down, or sideways, it doesn't matter. Are you where you want to go?
It's all about life choices, right? Lifestyle is really what we're all aiming for here in most cases.
It's what got us here. So if you're leaving, follow the passion that brought you here to go where you want to go next.
This makes sense. So on the bright side, we had, as we mentioned, March and April are the two months where the most real estate typically sells. Okay, we've got inventory, I notice, is leveling off. We're actually seeing about the same number of homes on the market now for 4 weeks in a row. So if that continues, we have a chance of hopefully getting more of a normal market situation. And another thing I talk to sellers about is, hey, if you own this house, if you bought it 2021 or earlier, you still have more appreciation in that house. It's worth more than it was pre-pandemic, right? So there's still a historical profit for these sellers if they sell now.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you bought in 2022, 2023, 2024, now there's a chance that you're lucky to break even. You might even have a slight loss. But again, coming to your point of where do you want to ride it out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, and if you're a buyer, great time to buy, right? Great selection.
Well, and I also think too, you're only seeing a little bit of the movie, right? You're seeing the preview, you're seeing a little bit of it, you're not seeing the full picture. So you might be selling this home to break even, or selling this home even at a little bit of a loss. But did you make money on the last home that you sold before you bought this one? A lot of times we find, being in the second home market, people will sell a home, hang on to it for 10 or 15 years, make money on it, sell it, buy another house. And they'll do that so many times. Eventually, one of them isn't going to be a winner. But ultimately, is this where you want to stay? Are you happy where you're at? And if the answer is yes, stay. But if the answer is no, go somewhere else. Don't let the home anchor you down.
Yeah, good advice. Well, good. Well, then here we go. I guess we're going to wrap up the next 2 months of high season. It'll be interesting to see what the market does, because like you said, it is really heated up here. I'd say last 2-3 weeks, it's just gone on fire for us. So was there luxury homes, especially, you were saying that the number of those going pending is just through the roof right now.
Oh yeah, in Lee County, there's over 100 homes that have sold over $1 million. When you look at the whole county.
When you say sold, you mean like go under contract with a buyer?
Yeah, good. Yeah, to clarify, not closed, but these are fresh new pendings in the month of February. Cape Coral saw the biggest increase. Month over month, Cape Coral had a double. We went from almost double, 21 sales over $1 million in January, 41 in the month of February.
Awesome. Yeah, pending sales. So those are going to hit eventually on the market stats. But yeah, so the future's bright.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thanks for sharing.
We want to help you with all your real estate needs.
Please feel free to call, text, or email with any questions. We'd love to help you find your slice of sunshine here in Southwest Florida.